wash our dishes and wipe down our counters with antibacterial detergents and solvents. We know that we have to cook our meat and eggs at specific temperatures to kill E. coli bacteria. We don't kiss friends with the flu, and we cover our mouths when we cough. Yet despite all these precautions, we inadvertently introduce harmful bacteria into our bodies 2, 3, 4 times a day. For the average American, it only takes 45 to 67 seconds. Ironically, the very habit we've cultivated to eliminate the bacteria is the very habit we need to learn to do better. The habit is brushing our teeth. And while an up and down motion might be better than a side to side, the problem lies not in the technique, but in the tool itself. For according to the November 16, 1997 edition of the Sacramento Bee, one of the largest sources of bacteria in our daily lives is the toothbrush we reach for every morning, noon, and night. The July 19, 1993 edition of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette explains there are over 300 different kinds of microorganisms hiding in the bristles of the average toothbrush. So to reach a better understanding of this toothbrush trauma, let's first examine why our toothbrushes are petri dishes for bacteria. Second, we'll aim to read between the lines of the bristles and find out what illnesses are hiding there. Finally, to complete the story, we'll look at some common sense solutions we can all take to protect ourselves. Toothbrush bacteria is abundant. Even after using a brand new sterile toothbrush only once, it will be coated in bacteria. This is a close-up of a nylon toothbrush after only 10 days of usage. However, the toothbrushes that we brought from home probably don't look half that good. The reason is that most people use the same toothbrush for 9 to 12 months without ever replacing it. According to Dr. Tom Glass, former chairman of oral pathology at the University of Oklahoma School of Dentistry, it only takes 17 to 35 days to heavily infect a toothbrush. So after 270 days of usage, that toothbrush is going to look like someone's biology experiment, with millions of bacteria inhabiting a 1.5 inch space. The bacteria grows and continues to infect us every time we put those bristles into our mouths. The frayed bristles of a worn toothbrush will also promote bacteria. According to the June 4, 1996 edition of the New Straits Times, frayed bristles on a worn toothbrush have the tendency to facilitate rubbing of the teeth instead of brushing. Now this rubbing puts more wear on the tooth, which causes the enamel to deteriorate faster, which spreads bacteria throughout the mouth and onto your toothbrush. Well, since toothbrush bacteria is so prevalent, we need to understand the conditions under which it grows. The bathroom is the best place to grow, if you're bacteria. It's warm, dark, and moist. Now the bacteria in the room spread throughout the air and onto your toothbrush. It doesn't necessarily sprout wings and fly, but instead is passed through the air because of the toilet bowl. According to the January 14, 1990 edition of the Sunday Telegraph, every time you flush the commode, you're aerating the room with bugs that land on your toothbrush and grow in the dark, humid climate. This includes dirt, germs, and fecal bacteria. Not things that we want to put into our mouths. Bacteria will also spread from one surface to another. So if your toothbrush comes in contact with another brush, then the germs on that brush can transfer to yours. The February 12, 1997 edition of the Atlanta Journal and Constitution states, family members may never share a toothbrush, but they do the next best thing. They share toothpaste. See, every time you squeeze toothpaste from that tube, you're squeezing out every germ that has come in contact with it. Well, there's bacteria on our toothbrush. So what? The so what is that it can make us sick. According to the January 19, 1993 edition of the Chicago Tribune, almost 75% of Americans suffer from some form of gum infection. And toothbrush bacteria is the primary cause. Besides promoting tooth decay, it can also result in throat infections, gum disease, and gingivitis. A study by the University of Oklahoma shows that after moderate usage, most toothbrushes have the bacteria associated with strep throat, pneumonia, and diarrhea. But because we're unaware of the bacteria's existence, we continue using those toothbrushes every single day. The bacteria from when we're sick can be just as dangerous. Obviously, we use our toothbrushes to clean our teeth when we're sick. But most people continue using that same toothbrush after they've recovered, thus putting all those germs they just got out of their system right back into their bodies. Many dentists, such as Dr. Tom Glass, suggest that most minor health illnesses are caused by toothbrush bacteria. In the September 28, 1997 edition of Observer, he states, after examining toothbrushes under a microscope, it's clear that the toothbrush is a way to transmit disease. However, in a telephone interview with Dr. Gregory Johnson, a dentist in Grottoes, Virginia, conducted on October 1st, 1997, he explained to me that there are so many illnesses caused by toothbrush bacteria that have other methods of origin, it's impossible to pinpoint an exact number of individuals who suffer from toothbrush-related illnesses annually. But it happens on a daily basis. Take John Roberts, for example. He went to the doctor and was diagnosed with a case of strep throat. The doctor gave him some antibiotics and told him he'd be better within a week. And so he was. But 1 week after his recovery, the strep throat was back. When he revisited the physician, the doctor told him the reason he had strep throat the second time was because he was using that same toothbrush with all that strep throat bacteria on it. Mr. Roberts went home, discarded the toothbrush, and recovered within a matter of days. Well, knowing what illnesses toothbrush bacteria can cause might be intriguing, but it really doesn't do us a whole lot of good unless we know what we can do to solve the problem. The easiest thing to do is not brush your teeth. Of course, that's probably not the most pleasant solution. The best thing to do is frequently change your toothbrush. Once a year is not enough. I mean, we don't use a piece of dental floss one day, hang it over the toothbrush rack, and use it every day for 9 months. So why do we do the same thing for toothbrushes? The American Dental Association recommends changing your toothbrush at minimum every 3 to 4 months. Other dental organizations recommend changing it monthly to avoid potential infection. But if your budget won't allow you to spring for $2 to $4 for a new toothbrush every month, don't worry. There are steps you can take to protect yourself. The first thing you need to do is move the toothbrush out of the bathroom. Store it in a drier, well-lit area. That way, bacteria is less likely to survive on the toothbrush. And be sure when it comes to storing toothbrushes that you don't put all the toothbrushes in a household together. Keep them separate. But do be sure to put them in a toothbrush holder like this. That way, the bristles won't come in contact with any other surface. The previously cited edition of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette says you should use a toothbrush made from a clear or light-colored translucent plastic, because light passing through the brush helps to prevent the growth of microbes. When you're in the bathroom, put down the commode lid. That way, when you flush the toilet, bacteria won't spread throughout the room. When you rinse your toothbrush, use cold water instead of hot water, because hot water has the tendency to speed up fraying of the bristles. According to the January 12, 1996 edition of the Chicago Tribune, you should use 2 toothbrushes and alternate usage between them. That way, one toothbrush will be dry at all times, and bacteria is less likely to grow on the dry toothbrush. You can also take steps to disinfect your toothbrush, like running it through the dishwasher occasionally with your dirty dishes, or soaking in a home solution of 1 tablespoon bleach to 2 gallons of water. If those don't appeal to you, probably the easiest thing to do is the suggestion put forth in the March 9, 1997 edition of Rocky Mountain News. Soak your toothbrush in an antibacterial mouthwash for 20 minutes after each usage. So whatever steps you take to protect your toothbrush, go ahead and implement them now. Because the longer you wait, then your chance for infection increases. But we've seen how we can cut down on that chance for infection by first looking at why there's so much bacteria on our toothbrushes. Then we looked at what it can do to us, and finally we looked at some common sense steps we can all take to protect ourselves. Alright, so maybe toothbrush bacteria is not the most deadly epidemic facing our society, but it is at the root of many small health problems that plague us every day. Plus, it gives you a little bit of sound mind to know you're not rubbing bugs and fecal bacteria all over your teeth. So tonight, as you spend those average 45 to 67 seconds brushing your teeth, remember that inhibiting toothbrush bacteria might not make you healthy, but it will keep you in better health.